Today, we're zeroing in on those big tech breakthroughs.
Right.
And, all the back and forth happening in the energy industry that's shaping where our power comes from.
Absolutely.
And a big focus for us, how do we make renewable energy more reliable?
Yeah.
So we've been looking at some pretty compelling ideas about energy innovation.
Okay.
And our mission today, to pull out the most crucial insights on energy storage and grid technology.
Gotcha.
Without completely overwhelming you.
Right.
Hopefully we'll throw in a few surprises along the way.
It's a complex space for sure.
Okay, so let's jump right in with the duck curve dilemma.
Yes.
You see this a lot with solar power, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant during the day. Sometimes it pumps out way more power than we need.
Totally.
And that can cause some serious issues for the power grid.
Yeah. It's like the downside of solar success.
So the question is, what can we pair with solar to smooth out that curve? Nuclear power and new energy storage technology keep popping up. What do you think? Is nuclear the only solution we have right now?
Well, it's interesting because different technologies can work together really well.
Right.
And nuclear provides that consistent power. It's always on.
Yeah.
Which definitely helps with solar's variability. But I think it's way too early to write off the incredible progress happening in energy storage.
Yeah.
For example, the cost of lithium-ion batteries has just plummeted in the last 10 years, making them much more realistic for grid-scale projects.
Okay, that leads us right into energy storage. It feels like the unsung hero in this whole transition to renewables.
Yeah.
It's vital. Your sources actually called it the linchpin. But maybe it's not as exciting as, shiny new solar panels.
Right.
Why do you think energy storage doesn't get as much attention?
Well, if you think about it, generating power, that's a very immediate result. You can see it, right?
Yeah.
Storage, on the other hand, is about building the infrastructure.
Yeah.
It's about making that generated power usable 24/7.
Right.
But the exciting part is the competition in battery technology. We're seeing innovation not only in lithium-ion, but also in flow batteries.
Okay.
Those are great for scaling up. And then there's the potential game changer, solid-state batteries.
Yeah.
They have way higher energy density.
So who are the brains behind all these breakthroughs?
Yeah.
Is it just the big companies?
It's actually really amazing how much innovation is happening across the board.
Okay.
You've got those big energy companies pouring money into research and development,
Right.
but you also have this super dynamic ecosystem of startups and dedicated research labs pushing the boundaries. And importantly, governments around the world are starting to understand how strategically crucial energy storage is.
Yeah.
So they're putting money into infrastructure projects.
And we're seeing this play out even closer to home with things like utility to residential batteries.
Yeah.
It's this concept of distributed energy storage.
Right.
So for the average homeowner or, someone who owns a business,
Yeah.
what's the real benefit of this?
Well-
What kind of return on investment should they be considering if they install these systems?
What's really appealing about having battery storage at the local level is the independence it gives you. More
Yeah.
control over your own energy.
Right.
And you're more resilient, too. When it comes to ROI, it really depends on your energy use, your electricity rates,
Right.
and any incentives that are available.
Okay.
But being able to store extra solar power and use it when demand is high,
Yeah.
or even having backup power during an outage, that's becoming a really attractive option financially.
Okay, so the big question.
Yeah.
Is there one single technology that could revolutionize the industry? Something that could be the perfect partner for both nuclear and solar? We've heard about hydrogen, molten salt, advanced fission. Even the possibility of something totally new came up in your research.
Right.
Are there any frontrunners?
Well, everyone is definitely looking for that one game changer.
Yeah.
Each of those you mentioned has potential.
Okay.
For example, green hydrogen could be a solution for long-duration storage.
Right.
And then there are advanced nuclear designs focused on making nuclear safer and more efficient. The important thing to remember is that this field is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Breakthroughs can come out of nowhere.
It's all so interconnected.
It is.
Which brings us to smart grid management. It's not just about making and storing power.
Right.
It's about managing how it flows intelligently.
Right, absolutely.
This idea of the perfect energy grid relies on AI and real-time balancing. So which companies are leading the charge in building this next generation intelligent energy infrastructure?
Well, when you think about combining digital technologies with physical infrastructure.
Yeah.
There are companies specializing in grid automation, data analytics, and energy management software.
Right.
They're developing the complex systems we need to manage all these different energy sources and keep the grid stable.
So taking a step back and looking at the big picture, what's the most important takeaway for our listeners?
The fundamental shift that we're seeing is that innovations in grid-scale energy storage aren't just small improvements.
Right.
They're completely changing the economics of how we make and use energy.
Wow.
They're making renewables a genuinely viable way to power our world.
Is there one disruptive technology that you think investors and policymakers should be watching really closely right now?
You know, instead of picking one specific technology, I think it's more important to focus on the advancements in long-duration energy storage solutions.
Right.
That's going to be the key to unlocking the full potential of renewable energy sources that aren't always available.
Yeah.
And making sure the grid can handle things for days or even weeks.
Okay, so for anyone who wants to learn more about this, where should they be looking?
Keep your eyes on the research coming out of university labs, the pilot projects from innovative companies, and the policy decisions being made around grid modernization and incentives for energy storage.
Okay.
That's where the future